On a cool morning in August, Cascade rancher Phil Davis was busy working cattle, sending a group of heifers to market. These are normally happy times for a rancher, a day when they get paid for a year's worth of work. But then a neighbor called Davis, saying a mother cow was down in a pasture nearby. Davis found the cow dead by a fence. He looked for any external signs of trauma. Was it disease or predation? The only visible sign was some blood on the ground next to the cow's nose.
Lately, these wolves have actually been biting these cattle on the face.
Having experienced many wolf kills over the last 20 years, Davis follows the procedures recommended by Federal Wildlife Services agents. Check for signs of predator trauma before calling the agent, but once you see it, call the agent and let them confirm the kill, leaving the evidence as intact as possible.
There it is. That is your trauma.
Huh.
No question about it.
Wow.
No question about it. Now we need the trapper.
Tom Reininger and Greg Jones of Wildlife Services show up within an hour. They survey the scene and begin the investigation.
So when we come up here, we'll look for sign, for wolf tracks, for scat, all those things that will lead to this, just part of the evidence. And this is no different than a crime scene. Next thing we do is go right to the carcass and and look for outward signs of teeth marks.
Finding none, they proceeded to skin out the animal and look for bite marks and trauma beneath the skin.
See, like right in here, see how clean that is? That's just like you were going to put her on the rack. There's no marks in here. That's what she should look like all the time, all over. But you get to this, that's a bite mark.
They roll the animal over and find large bite marks and trauma behind the front leg.
See, there's a tooth mark right there. You can see the indentations there and there. That's perfect consistency of wolf canine spacing right there. And so that right there lays into the right in here with this hemorrhage right in here.
The agents confirm that it's a wolf kill. It's upsetting to Davis that wolves would kill a mother cow worth $1,200 to the ranch and leave it to rot.
That's what's the real sickening part of this whole deal, is they don't eat anything. They say they're not surplus killers, they don't kill for sport or any of that. Well, what do you call this?
20 years after Canadian gray wolves were released into central Idaho and Yellowstone National Park, wolf populations have increased rapidly throughout the region. The initial goal of 30 breeding pairs and 300 wolves in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming was quickly surpassed, and wolves were removed from the endangered species list in 2011. That was a big victory for wolf advocates who wanted to restore Rocky Mountain gray wolves to the Northern Rockies.
Wolves were a native species to Idaho throughout the Northern Rockies, and they were eradicated around the 1930s. Wolves play a unique role in the ecosystem. They help cull disease and overproduction of elk and deer, so that the elk and deer populations remain healthier as a whole when you have a culling predator like wolves.
Originally, the concept was that wolves would feast on elk and deer in the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness and Selway Bitterroot Wilderness in Idaho. But that had a big impact on elk and deer populations.
Reintroduction of wolves in the mid-1990s basically has been detrimental for about 100 small outfitting businesses, especially those that are connected to the to central Idaho roadless and wilderness areas, as well as north central Idaho. So at one time, prior to reintroduction, outfitters were taking nearly 4,900 clients, hunting clients, and by 2009 that had reduced to about 1,200.
Right now, there is an estimated 108 wolf packs in Idaho, and at least 69 of them are producing pups. Elk populations in central Idaho and the Island Park area have yet to recover. Overall, there were an estimated 125,000 elk in Idaho before wolf reintroduction, and today there are about 107,000 elk statewide.
So we're at a stage now where wolves have been delisted for 4 years. So what are our goals? Well, the goals are to manage wolves just like bears or lions or deer and elk as part of the native wildlife resource. They're here to stay. Let's manage them as a species in their own right. We're currently harvesting about 250 wolves a year.
Experts say wolf harvests have helped reduce wolf populations overall. But cattle and sheep ranchers have to live with the wolves on a daily basis. Wolves are causing impacts to livestock that they didn't anticipate. Not only direct predation, but also increased stress on animals, reduced weight gain on calves and lambs when they come off the range, more kills on private ranch land than public land. Nearly 70% of cattle depredations have occurred on private lands, and 51% of sheep depredations have occurred on private lands. Low birth weight calves, reduced conception rates in mother cows, extra time sink in dealing with wolf depredations and herd management. Ranchers say all of these impacts add up to reduced income and profits. In terms of direct losses, wolf predation on cattle and sheep has been significant in Idaho since wolves were introduced 20 years ago. At last count, 2,900 confirmed sheep kills have occurred and 723 confirmed cattle kills, affecting more than 360 ranchers statewide according to Wildlife Services. By comparison, much larger populations of mountain lions, black bears, and coyotes have had a much smaller impact on livestock. Wolves have killed livestock in 32 out of Idaho's 44 counties. The biggest hotspots are Custer County with 260 confirmed wolf kills, Valley County with 185 confirmed kills, and Lemhi County with 155 confirmed kills over the last 20 years. Sheep rancher Harry Sullen estimates that wolves killed 100 head of his sheep in the summer of 2016. But the lambs that came off the range were also lighter than normal because of wolf predation and stress.
As many lambs as we're shipping, well over 3,000 lambs, and we probably are giving up a good 5 to 10 pounds. If you call that 15,000 pounds, that translates to $20-some thousand that you've maybe just given up on weight loss. Yeah, so it's pretty darn significant.
Hunting outfitters that led trips into central Idaho have been hit in the pocketbook too.
Hunting outfitter business is been devalued. They're now worth about 50 cents on the dollar. Outfitters that used to take 50 clients now take 25. That's just part of reality of that triple whammy: the recession, wolf unchecked wolf predation, and the legislature raised the hunting fees right during the height of the recession.
However, in the fall of 2016, Federal Wildlife Services reported that wolf livestock predations have reached an historic low point based on depredation reports from ranchers.
Wolf predation is declining in the state from our highs in 2009 and 2010. We see the depredation trend kind of flattening out right now. I expect that we can see the same level of depredation for the next few years. Maybe slight decreases or slight increases depending upon cattle and sheep and forest fires and other things that could impact wolf depredations. But we've reached a stability. One reason is we've had about 6 state hunting seasons now on wolves. We've had 3 or 4 trapping seasons on wolves. One of the key components for us was receiving funding from the Idaho Wolf Depredation Control Board to aggressively attack these depredation events and get the problem wolves that were causing the problems before they caused more problems.
The Governor's Office of Species Conservation also is seeing fewer compensation claims filed for livestock losses than ever before. But Davis and others wonder if some livestock predations are being overlooked.
They're getting more. They're getting more. And, you know, one thing was there was quite a lot of surprise when they killed the first grown mother cow. People didn't believe that that was likely. Didn't want to believe it was wolves. Well, it certainly was. And you take this year, of our 6 depredations that we've had this year, 3 of them have been full-grown cows. So they're getting more bold, they're getting more adept at it, but they're killing cows, besides just calves now.
So many cowboys, buckaroos will see a dead cow, not a mark on her, because you wouldn't think an animal could kill something this big without leaving outside marks. You know, that's what we're all used to. That's what our brain is telling us. You have to skin them out. Every dead animal, if it's in wolf country, that animal needs to be skinned out.
The Sullins raise their lambs in Crane Creek and then trail ewes and lambs into the Payette National Forest in July. They deal with coyotes, bears, and cougars when raising the lambs on private land, and then brace for impacts by wolves in the national forest. Last August, wolves stampeded the sheep into a deep ravine in the Payette Forest.
We had some wolves that got into one of our bands one night, got them running in some steep country and piled up a bunch of them. We lost, our count was about 57 in that sheep pile up. We were able to confirm those as due to wolves. We know that some more that we didn't find and some that couldn't be confirmed were also killed by wolves. We had some bear losses, but kind of our total summer losses, the way we guess and what we know, was about 100 head of sheep. We've had some of the years in the past where we lost over 300 to wolves in a single summer.
Casey Anderson manages the herds at the OX Ranch near Bear, Idaho. The OX is a working cattle ranch and dude ranch. They run cattle on 150,000 acres of private and public land. Anderson participated in a multi-year research study looking at cattle and wolf movements by tracking a gray wolf with a GPS collar on it and 10 cattle fitted with GPS collars. The study documented 743 encounters between the wolf and the cattle in the summer of 2009, a year when Idaho wolf populations were peaking. This was a year with heavy wolf predation. There were 3 wolf packs operating in the area.
In 2009, we probably had at least 32 wolves that was working in our immediate range. We collared 10 cows and in a herd of about 400. In 2009, we experienced, I think it was at least 18 confirmed. I think it might have been closer to 20. We were 65 head of calves short. We lost 5 cows, 2 yearlings, and a bull.
The wolves preyed on heifer calves in an open area next to the OX Ranch headquarters, and then preyed on calves and cows as the livestock moved into the national forest for the summer months. Anderson said it was a hard summer.
You add all that up, just throw a number out there, say $80,000. That's your direct costs. Only you aren't going to get compensated for that. You're only going to get compensated for 18.
And then there were additional unforeseen impacts.
In 2009, our cattle were coming off of the summer pasture at least 100 pounds lighter than normal. we had several hundred head out of a herd of 1,000 that we had to put directly on hay. So there's another cost. Our conception rate went down to 80%.
And the cattle, spooked by wolves, didn't graze on the rangelands as they should, even with 5 full-time cowboys herding them. Anderson says the cows would bunch up instead of spreading out like normal.
I've gotten 2 different awards, one through the NRCS for range management, another one through the Society of Range Management for the whole western region. And those things that I'm very proud of. And that has to do with water developments, fencing, range management, distribution of cattle. You can spend your whole life dedicated to make the natural resources better, and then have something like this come in and completely destroy what you've been trying to do.
Anderson estimates direct losses to wolf activity in 2009 amounted to $250,000. A number of wolves were taken out by wildlife services that year, and things have slowly gotten better since then, he says. But every year is different. This year, the ranch lost 18 head of cattle to wolves in the Wild Horse area near Hell's Canyon. After wolves kill livestock, it's best to eliminate them, Grimm says.
A wolf that has killed livestock is going to be more likely to kill livestock again. August is our biggest depredation month, and that's because that's when the most amount of wolves are exposed to the most amount of livestock. That's when the young of the year wolves are just beginning to eat meat, and the parents are working harder and harder to keep those pups fed and keep them growing. So they're getting anything available. Some of these areas have less game in them than other areas. So if there's no food available and wolves stay in a certain territory, they're going to find something to eat, and many times that's livestock.
Grimm says in late summer, adult wolves are teaching their pups how to hunt.
Yeah, they'll have bite marks, but they won't be actually feeding on them. And it could be that they've just got disturbed before they had a chance to eat.
Everyone realizes that wolves are here to stay. The genie is out of the bottle, so to speak. So, what are some solutions to reduce direct losses and other impacts? The Sullens have bought more guard dogs and changed practices in the summer in hopes of reducing losses.
Now at night, we try and bed the sheep as close as we can to camp. And so the herders, the herd dogs, and the guard dogs are all there very close, and that certainly helps. We've got 3 or 4 guard dogs in every band. We're very well aware of the problem, and so we're probably suffering less losses than we would otherwise.
We continue to deal with the fact that it's not going to be like it used to be. We support all the tools on the tool shelf that Fish and Game has for dealing with predator pits where the wolf has been a decisive factor relative to these elk populations.
State officials encourage ranchers to apply for compensation for confirmed wolf kills. John Beals in the State Office of Species Conservation says there are enough federal funds to provide full compensation for cattle and sheep losses. In 2015, OSC paid $1,300 for adult cattle losses, $1,200 for yearlings, $1,100 for calves, $170 for ewes, $170 for lambs, and $750 for guard dogs.
What's hard is to get your kills confirmed. Over the years, I kind of figure we're maybe lucky to get 30% of our claims verified. But the program that is existing today, it's better than nothing, that's for sure.
The OSC compensation program has been working for Davis.
Yeah, we get compensated. And like I say, we're fortunate that we find most of them.
Davis feels that pre-season trapping of wolves by wildlife services is the most effective way to reduce losses on his ranch.
And I wish we'd have never had to learn. what we've had to learn. But we've learned a lot because we've had over 60 depredations here since this began.
And that orphaned calf on the Davis Ranch stood in the pasture in July, wondering what happened to its mother.
Here's this cow's calf right here. Good looking calf. Fortunately, these calves are 4 or 5 months old. They're big enough that they'll make it on their own. He won't do well. He'll start getting a big belly because he's getting weaned too soon, and so he won't do nearly as well. So that'll cost you a few $100.